Bon dia, buenos días, good morning. Benvinguts graduats i graduades. Us saludem i us agraïm la vostra presència a la Universitat Pompeu Fabra. Saludem també els familiars i els amics que sou aquí present i us han acompanyat al campus. Saludem les autoritats i professors que també han estat i que estan aquí presents, amics, membres de la comunitat universitària, també que ens seguiu per internet. Bienvenidos graduados y graduadas. Os saludamos y os agradecemos vuestra presencia hoy aquí. Y saludamos también a los familiares y amigos que os han acompañado hoy. Saludamos también a las autoridades, profesores y a todos los familiares y amigos que nos siguen a través de Internet. Welcome, graduates. We greet and thank you for being at UPF today here and greet as well family and friends that have come with us. With you, welcome authorities and teaching staff. And finally, we greet as well all the family and friends that are connected on the Internet. We would like to inform you that throughout all the ceremony, we will be using Catalan, Spanish, and English, as you are seeing, so that all of us, we can understand each other and attend. Així que una vegada més, en aquest punt, comencem l'acte acadèmic de graduació dels màsters del Departament d'Enginyeria de la Universitat Pompeu Fabra. I els que rebreu el diploma en aquesta sessió sou els graduats i graduades en els màsters Master in Brain and Cognition, Master in Cognitive Systems and Interactive Media, Master in Computational Biomedical Engineering, Master in Intelligence Interactive Systems, Master in Sound and Music Computing. So a big round of applause for all of you. Com ja és tradició, la primera intervenció, en aquest cas de l'acte, és per la lliçó de graduació. En aquest cas tenim a càrrec aquesta lliçó de Sierra Crowell. És investigadora en interacció persona-ordinador. Crowell earned her PhD in Information and Communication Technologies from Universitat Pompeu Fabra, graduating cum laude following studies in cognitive systems, interactive media, and architecture. Today, she works as a senior researcher at Microsoft, helping ensure that innovation remains grounded in real human needs and experiences, and contributes to the design and evaluation of emerging technologies through collaboration with the Microsoft Research Labs in Cambridge and Washington. She actively contributes through full reflection of technology's impact on the world around us through work in the Green Design Lab, Girls Who Game, and the Global Mentorship Initiative. Whenever you're ready, you can come to the stage, Sierra. Big round of applause for her, please.
Good morning, everyone. Bon dia a tothom, and congratulations on your graduation. Before we begin, I'd like a quick show of hands. Who here grew up playing board games? Okay, and quick follow-up question, who here was completely ruthless about it? Okay, I thought so. So back when I was a kid, I played a lot of board games. My favorite game to play was a game called Life. Whenever it was my turn to pick the game for game night, I would reach inside the games cabinet and pick out the box with the big, colorful letters spelling out the word life. At the beginning of the game, each player is given a pile of paper money in pastel colors and a miniature plastic car in their favorite color. You would spin the wheel and roll the dice to find out what happens next. And then you go through the major milestones of life one at a time, choosing a career, choosing a house, encountering milestones one at a time, and trying to avoid landing on a crisis. As a child, I found this completely normal. As an adult, I now find it fascinating. This is a kid's game where the fantasy was not dragons or adventure, but pretending to get a mortgage, taking out life insurance, and making a retirement plan. Every setback was printed on the board in advance. Even the uncertainties had neat little edges. Every choice was laid out within a system with a limited number of outcomes. Today, in a symbolic way, your little plastic car is also at the starting line. You've completed master's degrees in cognitive systems and interactive media, intelligent interactive systems, sound and music computing, biomedics, and brain and cognition. You've spent this time studying the beautiful gap between what people do and what systems can measure. And now, just as everyone is congratulating you, another kind of spinner appears. What comes next? A PhD, a job, a lab, a company, a new country? There's a reason that question can feel so intimidating. Our brains are built to eliminate ambiguity. The more we learn about the brain, the less we see it as a passive receiver of external stimuli. Rather, it functions as a predictive machine. When the future is ambiguous, our brains are forced to model multiple competing futures in parallel just to feel prepared. And we often label these paths as the ideal timeline or the darkest timeline that we are trying to avoid. So when we have ambiguity about what the future looks like, this is highly costly for us from a metabolic standpoint. So if some part of you is sitting here feeling proud, relieved, and also trying to calculate whether you're about to make the right choice, that makes sense. Your brain is trying to handle all the twists in the road before you've even started driving. "10 years ago, I was defending my PhD proposal here in the same department. How do I know it was 10 years ago? Because Facebook told me. Yes, I still use Facebook, and this week its time hop feature decided to remind me. In this case, Facebook did not show a professional picture of me standing thoughtfully beside a whiteboard looking like someone with a 5-year plan. No, it showed my PhD proposal torn up on the floor. And next to it was a very guilty-looking dog. So yeah, my dog ate my PhD proposal. This was the excuse I had always wanted to use, except I was in grad school and it was actually true. At the time, I mostly laughed, but it also stayed with me because it was such a clean image of what the poet Robert Burns said: "The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry." Or, in my case, the best laid plans of master graduates can be scattered across the floor by a dog with strong opinions. By the time I finished my PhD, I had a spreadsheet of job applications I had applied for. 87 of them. I kept that spreadsheet because it was practical, but also because I wanted to remember that finding that first foot in the door after university was not easy. It was slow, uncertain, and really discouraging. At the time, it was easy to treat every no as a dead end. Maybe I wasn't qualified enough, maybe I had explained myself wrong in the interview. Looking back, those rejections were just temporary forks in the road, where the dice was not in my favor. But as a researcher, any data is valuable data, even if the result is failure. Especially when the result is failure, we can learn something from it. So eventually, after 6 months of interviews, I received an offer for a research role here in Barcelona. So I accepted the job. Then, after a few months of preparing to start my journey, I called the company to ask for details of my first day. At that point, something unexpected happened. I was called into the company office and told that the team had been eliminated. The role I was hired for didn't exist anymore, and they had forgotten to let me know. I remember being completely shocked. It wasn't just the loss of a job, it was the loss of the next piece of my puzzle, my Spanish visa, and the piece of the future that I had already built other decisions around. The darkest timeline became true. Around that time, I read The Alchemist, and there's a line from the book that stayed with me. The darkest hour of the night comes just before the dawn. Now, I don't take that as a guarantee that everything difficult is secretly about to become beautiful. I don't believe that, because sometimes difficult things are just difficult. But I do think that when you're inside uncertainty, your perception of time changes, and the present can feel permanent. That's partially because, as humans, we're vulnerable to negativity bias. We treat the worst case scenario as if it were somehow more realistic than every other scenario. But the future contains many possible outcomes, and at a crossroad, the darkest timeline that we fear is not necessarily more likely than the ideal timeline. And sometimes there are other outcomes on the horizon that we haven't even thought about yet. So in the moment that I was told that the job I interviewed 6 months for wasn't going to happen, I realized I needed to be creative about what other versions of the future might look like. And I did something that I would not necessarily recommend as general career advice. I went back to the company and asked whether I could work for free. Now, apart from not being legal or really practical, I had to sacrifice a good bit of my dignity to do that. But it was honest, and I was trying to keep the door from closing on my life in Spain. And the director did something unexpected. Instead of letting me go, he gave me a unique opportunity with 1 month to shadow different roles in the department: design, research, and data science. That 1 month of shadowing became 3 months, and eventually 3 months became a full-time contract. And through that very unexpected path, I realized that research was a good fit for me. And then, not long after almost losing that first job after grad school, I got another offer, this time for my dream job. There was only one caveat. I had to leave Spain and relocate to another country. So I accepted my dream job. I moved again. This time I left Spain, and it went very well. So, sometimes the moment when you're pushing hardest for one very specific version of the future, it's the moment when you have to loosen your grip and go with the flow. And the beautiful thing is that in the middle of COVID, I took a huge chance and asked if I could actually move back and do my dream job from Spain. And eventually, after some time, they said yes, and that became the job I'm still doing today. But before that happened, I had to give up a version of the future I was deeply attached to a few times, so the future could come back to me in a different form. So where does that leave us? In the board game of life, the success metric is determined from the beginning. The game doesn't ask what kind of life would feel interesting or worthwhile. Rather, it gives you the scoreboard in advance. You move around the board and arrive at the end of the game with a neat little pile of paper money. And that's kind of a strange way to think about life. In research, before we launch an experiment, before we take any measurements or create or collect data, we decide what our success metrics are going to be. What are the results that we need that's going to help us to make the next decision one way or the other? That evidence will actually tell us whether we are moving closer to what we care about. Many of you are going into fields that are being shaped by artificial intelligence, automation, and computation. These fields are full of metrics like accuracy, speed, and completion rates. But once a number is easy to track, it can become the only objective that we chase. Your responsibility is to keep asking what that number is standing in for. Whose dignity is being protected? Whose judgment is being strengthened or weakened? What kind of person a system empowers, and what kind of behavior it rewards? The same is true outside of work. If you don't choose your own success metrics, someone else will choose them for you. Sometimes that someone is a company, Sometimes it's a family expectation, a LinkedIn feed, or your younger self who made a plan with incomplete information and then expected the future to follow that plan. Near the beginning of The Alchemist, Santiago meets an old king who tells him what the book calls the world's greatest lie. That at some point, we lose control of what happens to us and our lives become dictated by fate. I really like that line because it describes what I believed for a long time, that we have a certain amount of time to play in life before we need to hunker down and get serious. But life isn't linear and we can't control the outcomes. Jobs disappear, teams reorganize, the dice gives you the exact number that you are trying to avoid. Still, we have more authorship than the board game suggests. We can choose the metric that we want to follow. We can revise the question when the data changes. We can notice when an old metric stops serving us and build a life that can withstand changes in the road and a bad roll of the dice. So as you leave here, I hope you feel proud of what you have done, and I hope you feel free to be precise about what success means. Define it based on the values that are important for you. Revise it when the evidence changes. Protect your judgment and your principles. And if the next few years don't look as linear as you've imagined, I hope you remember that a strange result is still a result. It might be frustrating data and it might be costly data, but it can still teach you something. Congratulations to the class of 2026. I hope you build system, careers, and lives with metrics that are meaningful to you.
Thank you so much for your words and all your experience, Sierra. So, now it's the time you have been waiting for. It's the delivery of the commemorative diplomas to graduates of the class 2026 of the Master's Degree in Information and Communication Technologies. Comencem amb el màster in Brain and Cognition i per això pujarà, sisplau, a lliurar els diplomes Davinia Hernández Leo, coordinadora acadèmica del Departament d'Enginyeria. Un fort aplaudiment per ella. Bé, i els nous graduats i graduades, en aquest cas, són Alisa Ailene Álvarez. Un fort aplaudiment, sisplau. Emma Camille Bagnave. Weda Chomali Jarasi. Alessandro Cotela. Fernanda González Dávila. Catherine Elizabeth Gourdé. Natasha Claire Grenstein. Noor Mohamed Hassan. Mohadeshe Houstazes. Ana María Mijaela Isaya. Mayan Lomb. Julia Matthews Juan. Tuana Asu Artuk. Pana Blanca Fradel. Martí Pirla Torrell. Olivia Puig Carreras. Chara Sophocleus. Amy Dione Mary Spitz. Betul Yilmaz. Quila Flanagan Bort. Doncs ara sí que sí, sempre m'agrada quan ja han passat tots per l'escenari fer un fort aplaudiment per tots aquests graduats i graduades que s'han graduat avui d'aquest màster. Okay, so now it's the turn of the graduates of the Master in Cognitive Systems and Interactive Media. The commemorative diplomas will be presented by the Master's coordinator, Davinia Hernandez Leo again. So stay here. Thank you so much. Next one, we will start with Gabriel Patricio Assis Sagrado. Un fort aplaudiment per ell. Irine Beritde. Roisin Burke. Sofía Selim Medaja. Sheila Madeleine Zoe Damson. Timothy Esomchi Eze. Micaela Freire Griffith. Verónica Gajowi. Tasnim Gorak. Ayesha Kazmi. Amali Kroman Hortz. Xiaoman Ma. Catherine Ella Madison Moore. Carolina Sierón. Runkun Yang. Yuhou Yang. Doncs ara sí que sí, un fort aplaudiment per tots ells que han passat per aquest escenari y también per la Davinia Hernández Leo. Pues bien, ahora es el turno de los graduados y graduadas del Máster in Computational Biomedical Engineering. Pedimos que se acerque a la mesa para entregar los diplomas conmemorativos Gemma Piela, coordinadora del máster. Ah, pues no. Gabriel Binardino. Pues Gabriel Binardino, un fuerte aplauso para él. Bien, cosas del directo. Bien, pues vamos a empezar con Diego Benito Junyent. Un fuerte aplauso para él. Marco Fabián Borda Bigert. Ruth Cervalló Solé. Tecla Durán Fort. Bettina Finzel. David Fragoso Bento. Teiner Alexander García. Alba Jiménez Lupiáñez. Jianting Li. David Márquez Uller. Lucía Matamoros Pava. Mireia Montaña Rovira. Constantina Nicoloudi. Jan Reglà Torrents. Asier Ruiz de Arachbaleta Berganza. Cristina Solana i Parera. Evangelos Espazaris. Lia Carbonell Feixas. Bé, doncs ara sí que sí, si us plau, un fort aplaudiment per tots ells i per qui ens ha acompanyat per repartir els diplomes. Seguim ara amb els nous graduats i graduades del Màster in Intelligence Interactive Systems i demanem que s'acosti, si us plau, per lliurar els diplomes a Jorge Lobo. Un fort aplaudiment per ell. Bé, ja estem preparats. Comencem, doncs. Germán Anakshi Kashanlin. Lorenzo Clementi. Rodrigo Cortés Sánchez. Carolina del Corral Farrarós. Martí Ferrer Ferrús. Arif Abad Fatzli. Campei Juan Christy Gray. Amadeu Huerta Moncho. Sandra Jiménez Vargas. Sekin Lan. Siquan Lin. Mireia Louzán Calo. Ahmed Yabud Luisiglu. Juan Sebastián Marquier Córdoba. John Rivas Azpiazu. Anurag Shankar. Tong Shu. Xingsheng Zhao. I ara sí que sí, un fort aplaudiment per tots ells. Moltíssimes gràcies. Doncs bé, acabarem de lliurar aquests diplomes commemoratius amb els graduats i graduades del Master in Sound and Music Computing. Per aquest motiu demanem que s'acosti a la taula de coordinador, a la taula el coordinador del màster, Xavier Serra. Un fort aplaudiment per ell. Bé, doncs comencem amb el lliurament de diplomes. Milo Beusabal, un fort aplaudiment per ell. Òscar Boile García. Federico de Lelis. Oliver Cullen Fleich. Fernando García de la Cruz. Antonello Giorgio. Domonkos Kostial. Andreas Papaercleus. Germán Ángel Puerto Rodríguez. Yitong Ren. Mario Oreboshi. Siddharth Sachena. Frederic Duarte Baquer López. I Arhan Bora. I ara sí que sí, un fort aplaudiment per tots ells que han passat per aquest escenari. Okay, so now it's time for the speeches by recent graduates who will say a few words from all their classmates, families, friends, and teachers on behalf of the class of 2026. First of all, let me introduce Mayan Lom from the Master in Brain and Cognition, please.
Dear graduates of 2026, professors, our families, friends, and all for coming here. First of all, I'm honored to give the speech along all these amazing speakers who will continue. Some are working at Microsoft, and me, well, I'm just Estonian. I've been thinking about this speech for quite a while, and what exactly I wanted to say. It turns out it's not easy to put this year into words. A year of very obvious highs, and let's not pretend otherwise, a few lows as well. I walked into this master's program as a Spanish philologist. What that essentially means is someone who read a lot of books, learned to speak Spanish reasonably well. In other words, I spent several years training to become a worse version of a Spaniard. Like many of us, I had read books about neuroscience before arriving here, but that's about where my expertise ended. I knew very little about the EEGs, the inner workings of the brain, or computational modeling. To be fair, I'm still confused about the latter, but that's a story for another time. This year has flown by. Doing a master's in 1 year means learning 5 things simultaneously and feeling incompetent in all of them. Every week somehow feels like both your first week and your final week. Yet despite that, the amount of knowledge we've managed to accumulate has been remarkable. This program taught us neuroscience, some statistics, programming, experimental design, and many other things. In fact, I think one of the hidden learning outcomes of this master's was spatial navigation. We spent a year studying cognition while trying to find a correct classroom with only a room number and blind optimism. I know I'm still very much a duckling in neuroscience, but I also know how far we've come. As Nuria, my supervisor, once reminded me, look at where you come from. I can now work in a lab, read code without immediately panicking, talk about language learning with something resembling language confidence, and contribute to research in ways I couldn't have imagined a year ago. I need water. We've had the privilege of being taught by leading experts in their fields, each bringing their own perspective, quirks, and passions. Thank you for challenging us, supporting us, and occasionally convincing us that we might actually know what we're doing. But this year has been about more than lectures, assignments, and research projects. In many ways, this program was a social experiment. Take people from different countries, cultures, disciplines, and life experiences, place them in the same classrooms, labs, cafes, and see what happens. I'm happy to report that the experiment yielded highly significant results. The p-value is definitely below 0.05. As much as this year has been about education, it has also been about friendship. I didn't come here expecting to find people I'd want at my future wedding, yet somehow I did. I think many of us found friends who became confidants, supporters, collaborators, and occasionally therapists. These are the people who listen to us complain about deadlines, statistics, supervisors, housing, visas, coding errors, and whatever crisis happened to be fashionable that particular week. They celebrated our successes, picked us up after setbacks, and made Barcelona feel like home. So while our supervisors and professors absolutely deserve our gratitude and applause, I think the people sitting next to us deserve some too. So a round of applause for all of you. I also want to thank our families, partners and friends back home, the people who listened to us explain our projects, pretended to understand what we were talking about, and supported us even when we disappeared for weeks because of assignments, exams, or thesis deadlines. And perhaps the things I'll remember most about this year, not any particular lecture, paper, or exam, but the people. The conversations after class, the coffees that became dinners, the quick questions that somehow turned into hour-long discussions, and the friendships that formed along the way. A year ago, most of us didn't know each other. Today, we leave not only with a master's degree, but with the community. And now, just to show off, joking, I'll end this speech en castellano. Así que brindemos por las amistades que hemos hecho, por los desafíos que hemos superado, por los profesores que nos cuidaron, por las familias que nos apoyaron y por todo lo que venga después. Enhorabuena and congratulations, class of 2026. We did it.
Thank you so much for these words. Now we call to the stage to Young Jo Yang from the Master's Program in Cognitive Systems and Interactive Media. Please, a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Faculty, families, friends, and the fellow graduate of the Cognitive System and Interactive Media program. Thank you for being here. When you first told people that you were doing this master's, how many of you got the same look? Applied nod, a slight pause, and then, so it's like computers? Yeah, it's like computers, but it's also the mind, design, philosophy, art, and somehow a unity project all at the same time. We picked one of the most hard-to-explain programs in this university, and honestly, I respect every single of you for that. Our journey was defined by building things from scratch and learning the hard way. So there was times some of us actually carry massive prototypes, including boxes and large windmills, all the way from Barcelona to campus on Metro. And people stared at us, but we just kept chatting like it was the most normal commute in the world. That is us. We don't think twice. We just take our prototypes and go. The program told us to get comfortable with not knowing, to sit with complexity, prototype before we were ready, and present half-finished idea with confidence. We also had help, of course. AI has been a constant convenience throughout this program. A lover, friend, collaborator, and the only one listen to our ideas at 2 a.m. And some of us even use it to generate a collection of strange images for Memory Palace project. And some of the images still haunt me. And to our professors, thank you, not just for the lecture and the feedback, but for genuinely engaging with our ideas, even the hard-backed ones. You pushed back when we needed it, and encouraged us when we got lost, and somehow made us feel that what we were building actually matters. That's not something we take for granted. To our families, thank you for trusting us on this path, even when we couldn't quite explain what it was. Many of you supported us from thousands of miles away, through time zone differences, through many phone calls, where we tried to explain what we were building and probably still failed. You believe in us anyway. That means more than what we can say. To my fellow graduates, the world right now is moving fast, especially in AI and human-computer interactions. Everyone has an opinion, but most of them haven't studied what we have. So go be in those rooms, bring your unique ideas. Remember that behind every interface is a human being, and behind every system is a choices. We were trying to think about those choices, and that matters. We start trying to understand how mind and machine interact. We ended it with a deeper understanding of how to build things that actually for people. Congratulations, Class of 2026. We made it. Now, let's go do something interesting with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your words. Bé, doncs ara és el torn de David Márquez del Màster en Enginyeria Biomèdica Computacional. Un fort aplaudiment per ell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Fellow graduates, professors, families, and friends. I am very grateful to stand here today and represent our class in this graduation ceremony. First, I would like to thank our professors and academic staff for their knowledge, time, and dedication throughout these masters. I would also like to thank our families and friends for their constant support and encouragement this year, which has been a lot. One of the most valuable aspects of this program, at least for me, that I did not do a bachelor in this discipline, has been bringing together people from very different academic backgrounds and also countries and cultures. And despite our differences, we have shared the experience of learning how to approach complex biomedical problems, collaborate across disciplines, and also communicate our work clearly and responsibly. Throughout this year, we have worked on many projects, presentations, and assignments, and of course, from the very beginning, the master's thesis. At the beginning, the thesis seemed quite manageable. We had many months ahead, and then it came all really fast. And at the end, because the months kept passing, and the stress and the urgency kept building up. But now it's done already. We have finished, and we are all of us here celebrating that we have finished and we're graduating. Still, despite the deadlines, the infinite simulations and code that sometimes stop working for no reason, it has been a very valuable experience. It has taught us how to solve real problems, work under pressure, and accept that progress does not always happen as quickly as we would like to. We are also graduating in a time where we constantly are hearing that from many people, artificial intelligence will replace us. However, after all of us have seen that AI confidently generates code that doesn't work or generate references that don't exist, I think we are probably safe, at least for some months now. More seriously, these technologies remind us that our value does not come only from the tools that we know how to use and we build, but also from our critical thinking, creativity, responsibility, and the ability to understand the human context behind every dataset, model, image, language, or medical device. This year has not always been easy, but we have made it. Today, we can be proud of everything we have accomplished here. And as we move forward into research, industry, clinical collaboration, or something completely different, I would like to congratulate all my classmates and wish you the very best for the next chapter. I am truly looking forward to seeing what each and every one of you becomes and achieves. Thank you very much, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you so much. Next is Campbell Juan Christie's turn from the Master in Intelligence Interactive Systems. A big round of applause for him.
Hello. So, what does intelligent interactive systems entail? I'm sure some of us here are wondering. And we've asked ourselves the exact same question, and no doubt struggled to explain it to friends and family. But I guess the simplest description I can give you is that we've spent a year teaching machines to see, to read, to listen, and to move across the room without walking into a wall. Some of us even tried to teach it to walk through the wall. And yes, we've all tried to cut some corners at some point. There's been code that ran perfectly right up until the moment we tried to demo it. And there's been attempts to get others to fill in our research survey. Some of us are still waiting. But no matter what, the routine was largely the same. Run the code, break it, tune the heuristic, run it again, and pray it converges before that deadline. So yes, it's felt a bit of a roller coaster at times. But look, if there's one thing I've learned this year, it's this. A new word to describe that feeling after a visit to the campus canteen, modora, also known as a food coma. Yes, thanks guys for teaching us some lingo. But, okay, that might be a personal diagnosis, but I did want to get everyone else's experience this year. So I asked the group if they could summarize their year in a word or two, and here is what they came back with. Transformative, peak experience, short but intense, bittersweet, chaotic but fulfilling, hard, troublesome, too many spinning plates, and probably my favorite, it could have been worse. One response was simply, thanks, Claude, which in the spirit of academic honesty, I feel we should acknowledge. But yes, that range from transformative to it could have been worse is the most accurate description of the year. At times it's been hard, but nothing brings people together like the collective stress of deadlines. There's been late evenings doing coursework, shared pizza nights, and some very, very last-minute presentation prep. But I can say friendships have been made, and not even the World Cup rivalries could separate this group. Some here have come to a new city, others already knew it well. But I would say this city has a bit of an aura about it, and the same can be said about the uni and the group of people. It's hard to explain it, so we won't try, but I can say it's been a really memorable year that's absolutely flown by. And actually for some here, it's been 2 years. There's been defined syllabuses, immovable deadlines, and marking criteria. But from tomorrow, there'll be no more marking criteria, which feels exciting and slightly daunting at the same time. Some of us already know what we're going to go on to do next, while others have absolutely no idea. But I generally look forward to hearing what everyone gets up to next, and I know this group will stay in touch. Finally, I'd like to say a thank you, and I speak for the whole group here. Thank you to the professors for the knowledge, wisdom, and enthusiasm. And a thanks to the supervisors for, shall we say, emotional support. And really, a last thank you to everyone else who's made this year unique. You know who you are, so a big thank you.
Thank you so much. So, finally, llamamos al escenario a Fernando García, del Máster en Tecnologías del Sonido y de la Música. Un fuerte aplauso para él.
I tried to memorize it, but I couldn't, so we're going to read it, okay? So I want to thank my classmates and the faculty for the chance to present our program today. And thank you for our family and friends for being here. I'm honored to be here. I'm very happy because not the assignments are and the thesis is finally done. Like that helps a lot for sure. But because this is a moment that a lot of us, and especially me, have dreamed for a long time. So we all started from these different reasons, from different places. But there is one thing that I think a lot of us have in common, and it's that little annoying voice in the back of your head that tells you that it waits for that exact moment that you start enjoying to ask you, are you sure you really belong here? But today, I think we can tell that voice to be quiet a little bit. And not just because we want to prove it wrong, but because to prove it that to ourselves, okay? So I would like to ask you to take a second and look what you have actually done. I mean, we. And I don't mean like the degree or the grades. I mean, take a look at who you are now compared to the person who started in the first day. Think about everything it took to get here, the good days and the hard ones. Because all of it together is making us grow. But I think we also look at the hard stuff, the sacrifices we have to make, emotionally, financially, from any kind. That is unfortunately just part of the game. A lot of us has had to start from a different country, far from our family and friends, and that is especially complicated when times back at home are not at their best. Maybe there was someone we wish we could be there for, and we simply could not. And all of that makes you think that, is this really worth it? And I think the answer will come eventually. But I think everything that makes you grow as a person, I think is worth it. So the thing about that little annoying voice in the back of your head, and all of that moments, it's like those make you feel alone. And we're not alone, if you think about it. Everyone around us is dealing with something, their own voices, their own sacrifices, their own struggle. And I'm very happy that I got to meet these people. The classmate who also had no idea what representation learning even means. The friends who were right next to you when something bad happened. And when you combine people like this in a place where being curious and a little bit weird is part of the game, well, that is a community that I really I'm very happy to be proud to be part of. I'm being very proud of it. The last thing I want to talk is about luck, because I do be lucky to be here. And a friend once told me that luck is like a train. It's not a train, but it's like a train, right? But to catch the train, you still have to get yourself into the station, buy the ticket, and be ready when the train arrives. And well, if it is the Rodalies Renfe, maybe you will need to wait a little bit because it might be delayed. Okay? So yes, maybe we are lucky. But lucky was only the train showing up. The station, the ticket, the waiting. That part was because of us. And we now know how to do that. So whenever trains come next, and I have no idea what is mine, surely we are ready to get in it. And I couldn't have waiting in that station a lot. So I want to thank my classmates, my friends, my family, and especially all of you for being here. We made it. And muchas felicidades a todos y disfrutemos este momento. Muchas gracias.
Bien, pues gracias a todos. Thank you to all of you for these words. All of them have been has been inspiration for all of us, sure. Bé, doncs aquest acte ja s'acaba i la Universitat Pompeu Fabra i el Departament d'Enginyeria agraeix a tots la vostra assistència. D'una manera especial als qui n'heu estat protagonistes, els graduats i graduades. Ens acomiadem també de les autoritats, familiars i amics que us han acompanyat en aquest acte, així com tots aquells que esteu connectats a través d'internet. Abans de tancar, però, escoltarem l'himne universitari, el Gaudeamus Igitur, interpretat pel cor de la UPF. I així us demano, si us plau, que tots us poseu dempeus per escoltar l'himne i després d'això anirem directament per celebrar-ho. Moltes gràcies.
Gaudeamus igitur juvenes dum sumus. Gaudeamus igitur juvenes dum sumus. Posimus